The bar reeked of stale beer and testosterone. 3 blocks from Camp Pendleton, the Iron Horse was where off-duty Marines went to forget the weight of their uniforms. Dim lights cast shadows across worn wooden tables. A jukebox in the corner pumped out classic rock, competing with dozens of raised voices. Serena Vale stood behind the bar, wiping down glasses with mechanical precision. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She wore a black tank top and jeans, the uniform of every other server here. To anyone watching, she was just another college girl working nights to pay tuition. But Serena hadn't touched a college campus in 6 years. Her eyes tracked the room with practiced efficiency. She cataloged exits, identified potential threats, and most importantly, kept watch on the man in the corner booth. Captain Derek Holloway sat with 3 other officers, his back to the wall. His laugh was too loud, his gestures too animated. Serena had spent 6 weeks tracking Holloway. Intelligence suggested he was selling classified information about Marine deployment schedules to foreign buyers. Tonight was supposed to be his meeting with a courier. The man was already 20 minutes late. "Another round for table 6, barked Travis, the actual manager, shoving a tray at her. Serena grabbed it without looking at him. She moved through the crowd, balancing drinks, her gaze never straying far from Holloway. The courier had to show. 6 weeks of surveillance couldn't end with nothing. Near the pool tables, a commotion erupted. A group of Marines had cornered 2 women, their body language aggressive. One of the women looked uncomfortable, her friend trying to pull her away. Serena noted it but didn't react. Not her problem. Not tonight. Then someone grabbed her arm. The grip was strong, military strong. Instinct fired through her nervous system before conscious thought could intervene. Her body coiled, ready to strike. "Hey, those guys are bothering those girls. You gonna let that happen?" The voice belonged to a man in his late 20s. Dark hair, sharp jawline, gray eyes currently clouded with alcohol. He wore civilian clothes, but everything about him screamed Marine. The haircut, the posture, the self-righteous fury of someone who'd decided he was the hero. Logan Reyes had no idea he'd just made the worst mistake of his life. "Let go," Serena said quietly. Logan didn't let go. Instead, he stepped closer, his breath reeking of whiskey. "I said those guys." Serena moved. Her free hand trapped his wrist. She pivoted her hips, using his forward momentum against him. Logan's world tilted. 1 second he was standing. The next, his face slammed into the bar floor. His arm twisted behind him in a joint lock that sent fire up his shoulder. The entire bar went silent. Logan gasped, his cheek pressed against sticky wood. The woman he'd tried to help stood above him, her knee on his back, her expression cold as Arctic ice. "Don't touch me," Serena said. Then she saw him. Across the room, Captain Holloway was staring directly at her. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second. Recognition flashed across his face, not of her specifically, but of what she was. The way she'd moved. The precision of the takedown. Holloway stood abruptly. He said something to his companions and headed for the back exit. "No." Serena released Logan and sprinted after Holloway. She shoved through the crowd, ignoring the shouts behind her. But by the time she reached the back alley, Holloway was gone. She could hear an engine roaring to life 2 blocks away. 6 weeks, gone. She slammed her fist against the brick wall. Behind her, Travis appeared in the doorway. "What the hell was that?" "You're fired." Serena didn't respond. She was already pulling out her phone, dialing her handler. Inside the bar, Logan Reyes sat on the floor, his shoulder throbbing, trying to understand how a bartender had just taken him down like he was a damn recruit. 24 hours later, Serena sat in a gray interrogation room at an undisclosed location in San Diego. Commander Patricia Wolf stood across from her, arms crossed, her expression carved from granite. 6 weeks, Wolf said. 6 weeks of surveillance. We had Holloway. We were this close to identifying his buyers, and you blew it because you couldn't control your training instincts. He grabbed me, Serena replied evenly. I reacted. You were undercover. Your job was to blend in, not demonstrate special forces combat techniques in front of 100 witnesses. Wolf slammed a tablet onto the table. The video is already circulating among military personnel. Bartender takes down drunk Marine. People are asking questions. Serena said nothing. She'd seen the video. Someone had captured the whole thing on their phone. 3 seconds from grab to takedown. She looked too good, too trained. Wolf sighed. Holloway's gone underground. We've lost him. I can find him again. No, you're compromised. Wolf pulled up a file. But we have a new problem. The Marine you assaulted, Logan Reyes. Does that name mean anything to you? Should it? His brother was Captain Marcus Reyes, convicted of treason 3 years ago, sold information about special operations to enemy combatants. He died in Leavenworth 6 months into his sentence. Officially suicide. Serena's eyes narrowed. Officially? Exactly. Wolf pulled up another document. Here's where it gets interesting. We've been reviewing Logan Reyes' service record. For the past 2 years, he's been present at or near multiple locations, later identified as sites of information leaks. 3 separate incidents. Could be coincidence. You don't believe in coincidence. Neither do you. Wolf leaned forward. Logan Reyes is either incredibly unlucky, or he's part of the same network his brother was involved in. We need to know which. You want me to investigate him. I want you to get close to him. Find out what he knows. If he's innocent, we clear him. If he's not, Wolf didn't finish the sentence. Serena considered. He's going to recognize me. Use that. You already have his attention. Wolf's smile was sharp. Make him trust you. Meanwhile, Logan sat in a different kind of interrogation room, this one at Camp Pendleton. Major Ross Hargrove reviewed a file, his face impassive. Force Recon Marine gets taken down by a bartender in 3 seconds, Hargrove said. How do you think that looks? She wasn't just a bartender, sir, Logan replied. His shoulder still ached. That was military training, special forces level. So you're saying you were attacked by a highly trained operative while drunk in a bar? When Hargrove put it that way, it sounded insane. I'm saying something isn't right. Logan leaned forward. Sir, I was trying to help someone. That woman's reaction was extreme. Why would a bartender have that kind of training? Hargrove closed the file. You've been under stress since the Kandahar incident. The psych evaluation recommended time off. Instead, you've been drinking and getting into bar fights. It wasn't a fight. You're suspended from active duty pending a full review. 2 weeks minimum. Consider it a gift, Reyes. If this video had shown you actually fighting back, you'd be looking at discharge. Hargrove stood. Go home. Get your head straight. Stay away from bars. Logan left the office feeling hollowed out, suspended. Again. The word unstable seemed to follow him everywhere since Marcus died. He walked across the training grounds, not ready to go home. The afternoon sun beat down on the obstacle course. A few recruits struggled through drills in the distance. Logan Reyes? He turned. The woman from the bar stood 10 feet away. In daylight, she looked different. More dangerous. Her blonde hair was down. She wore tactical pants and a fitted jacket that didn't quite hide the athletic build beneath. Logan's hand instinctively moved toward his hip, toward where his sidearm would be if he were armed. Relax, the woman said. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to talk. About how you hospitalized my pride? About why you're being watched. She took a step closer. My name is Serena Vale. I work for a unit you've never heard of. And right now, you're standing in the middle of something you don't understand. I'm not interested in spying. Your brother was. Logan froze. Anger flashed through him, hot and immediate. Don't you dare. Marcus Reyes wasn't a traitor, Serena said quietly. But someone wanted everyone to believe he was. The words hit Logan like a physical blow. For 3 years, he'd lived under the shadow of his brother's conviction. Marcus, the war hero. Marcus, the unit leader who'd saved Logan's life twice. Marcus, who supposedly sold out his country for money. Logan had never believed it. But he'd been alone in that belief. Why should I trust you? He asked. Because you're being set up the same way he was. Serena pulled out a tablet, showed him a document. You've been flagged at 3 leak sites. Someone is building a case against you. In 6 months, maybe less, you'll be the next Reyes brother accused of treason. Logan stared at the document. His name, dates, locations. It looked damning. Who's doing this? The same people who killed your brother. Serena pocketed the tablet. I'm investigating a network of military personnel selling classified information. Your brother discovered them. They framed him. And when he wouldn't stay quiet, they made sure he never left prison alive. You're saying Marcus was murdered. I'm saying if you don't help me, you'll share his fate. Serena's gray eyes were hard. You have 2 choices. Work with me, or wait for the axe to fall. Logan looked away, his jaw tight. Everything in him screamed not to trust this woman. But the alternative was doing nothing, while history repeated itself. What do you need? He finally asked. Everything you remember about the 3 incidents in the report. Every person you saw, every conversation you overheard, Serena started walking toward the parking lot. "And you need to trust me completely, because if they think you're investigating them, they'll move faster." Logan followed her. "Last night, you said you were there on a mission. What was it?" "Tracking a captain named Derek Holloway. He's selling deployment schedules." "Holloway." Logan frowned. "He was at Marcus's court-martial. He testified against him." Serena stopped walking. "You're sure?" "Positive. I was there for every day of the trial. Holloway said Marcus had accessed files he shouldn't have. It was damning testimony." Serena's expression shifted something between satisfaction and fury. "Then we just found our first connection." 3 days later, Serena and Logan crouched behind shipping containers in an abandoned warehouse complex near the port of San Diego. Intelligence had traced Holloway to this location. He was meeting someone, possibly his buyer. "How did you get this intel?" Logan whispered. "Hacked his phone." Serena replied casually. "He's not very good at operational security." Logan studied her profile in the dim light. She'd changed since their first meeting. Less guarded. Or maybe she was just good at making people think that. "You really believe Marcus was innocent?" he asked. The evidence against him appeared too quickly, too clean. Someone prepared that case in advance, then waited for the right moment to deploy it. Serena adjusted her position. "Your brother was investigating unusual equipment requisitions. Then suddenly he's caught with classified files on his personal laptop. Files he had no reason to access. They planted them. That's my theory. Why didn't he defend himself better?" "Because they threatened you." Serena glanced at him. "Marcus had a choice: plead guilty, serve his time quietly, and you'd be left alone. Or fight the charges, and they'd bring evidence implicating you as his accomplice." Logan felt the air leave his lungs. Marcus had taken the fall. To protect him. "How do you know all this?" "Because it's what I would do." Serena pointed toward the warehouse entrance. Movement. 3 vehicles. Logan pushed his emotions down and focused. A black SUV and 2 sedans pulled up to the warehouse. Men in suits emerged, not military, but moving with that distinctive awareness of security professionals. "Private contractors," Logan murmured. "Mercenaries," Serena corrected. "Holloway's not selling to foreign governments directly. He's using middlemen." Holloway arrived 10 minutes later in a civilian car. He looked nervous, checking over his shoulder twice before entering the warehouse. "We need to get closer," Serena said. "I need to identify the buyer." "That's a dozen armed men between us and them," Serena smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. "Stay here. I'll be back in 5 minutes." Before Logan could protest, she was gone, moving through the shadows like smoke. Logan had been trained by Force Recon instructors. He'd operated in hostile territory, but watching Serena move, he realized she was on an entirely different level. She disappeared into the warehouse through a high window. Logan counted the seconds, his muscles tense. Then the lights went out. Shouting erupted inside. Muzzle flashes lit the darkness. Logan's instincts screamed at him to move, to help. He'd promised to stay put, but Serena was outnumbered 12-1. "Damit!" Logan moved. He entered through a side door, his training taking over. The warehouse was chaos, men shouting orders, searching for an invisible enemy. He heard shots fired toward the catwalks above. A mercenary rounded the corner. Logan didn't hesitate. He struck fast, 2 hits to disable, a third to put the man down quietly. He took the man's weapon and kept moving. He found Serena pinned down behind a stack of crates. 3 men had triangulated her position. She couldn't move without exposing herself to fire. Logan lined up his shot and took down the furthest target. The other 2 spun toward him. Serena used the distraction to drop both with 2 precise shots. Their eyes met across the warehouse floor. "I told you to stay put," Serena said. "You're welcome." More mercenaries were converging. Serena grabbed Logan's arm. "Holloway's gone. We need to extract. Now." They ran. Behind them, the mercenaries gave chase. Serena led them through a maze of containers, moving with the confidence of someone who'd scouted the location. They burst out of the warehouse complex just as vehicles roared to life behind them. Serena's motorcycle was hidden behind a dumpster. She swung onto it, and Logan climbed on behind her without question. The bike surged forward, weaving through traffic with reckless precision. 10 minutes later, they stopped in an empty parking structure. Serena killed the engine and pulled off her helmet. "That was sloppy," she said. "We got out. We lost Holloway. Again." She turned to face him. "But you saved my life back there." "Team effort." Serena studied him for a long moment. "You're not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "A liability. Someone I'd have to babysit." She started the motorcycle again. But you can handle yourself. That's good, because this is going to get worse before it gets better. Serena's safe house was a nondescript apartment in Chula Vista. The windows were covered with blackout curtains. The walls were covered with maps, photographs, and documents connected by red string. Logan stood in the middle of the living room, taking it all in. How long have you been tracking this? The network? 18 months. Your brother specifically? Since I found inconsistencies in his trial records. Serena pulled up files on her laptop. Look at this. Logan moved closer. The screen showed Marcus's service record deployments, commendations, psychological evaluations. 3 months before his arrest, Marcus filed a complaint with the Inspector General's office, Serena said. He reported suspicious equipment transfers from Camp Pendleton to civilian contractors. The complaint was dismissed as unsubstantiated. I never knew about any complaint. It was buried, classified for operational security reasons. Serena pulled up another document. 2 weeks after he filed that complaint, classified files appeared on his laptop. He was arrested within hours. Someone acted very quickly to shut him down. Logan felt rage building in his chest. Who? Give me names. I have names. What I need is proof. Serena closed the laptop. The network is careful. They're all high-ranking officers with decades of service. They hide behind legitimate operations and security clearances. Your brother got too close, and they eliminated him. So what's our move? Holloway is the weak link. He's greedy and nervous. We pressure him until he gives up someone higher in the chain. Serena pulled out a burner phone. I have a contact in military intelligence. He owes me a favor. He can put surveillance on Holloway's movements. And what do? We find out who Holloway testified at court-martials for besides your brother. If this is a pattern, he's done it before. They worked through the night. Logan proved surprisingly adept at data analysis, cross-referencing court-martial records with Holloway's service history. By dawn, they had a list of 5 cases where Holloway's testimony had been crucial in convictions. All treason or information security violations, Logan observed. And all the defendants had one thing in common: they'd filed complaints or reports about irregularities in the months before their arrests. Whistleblowers, Serena said. The network identifies potential threats and neutralizes them before they can expose anything. Marcus tried to work within the system. He followed protocol, filed the proper reports, and it got him killed. Logan's voice was hollow. He believed in honor and duty, and they murdered him for it. Serena put a hand on his shoulder. We're going to make this right. Logan looked at her. In the early morning light, she seemed younger, tired. For the first time, he saw past the operative to the person beneath. Why are you doing this? He asked. This isn't just a mission for you. Serena pulled her hand away. My father was Army Special Forces. He discovered evidence of war crimes being committed by private contractors in Iraq. He reported it. A week later, he died in what was officially a training accident. She met Logan's eyes. But I saw the autopsy photos. Those weren't training injuries. Jesus. So yes, this is personal. I joined this unit specifically to hunt people like Holloway. People who hide behind uniforms while betraying everything the uniform stands for. Serena stood. Get some sleep. We have work to do when the sun comes up. Logan wanted to say something to acknowledge what she'd shared. But Serena had already turned away, disappearing into a back room. He lay down on the couch, exhausted but unable to sleep. The walls were closing in on secrets that powerful men wanted buried. And he and Serena were caught in the middle of it. 4 days later, Serena received a tip from her contact. Holloway was meeting someone at a storage facility in El Cajon. This could be their chance to identify another member of the network. They arrived early, setting up surveillance positions with a clear view of the facility entrance. Logan had borrowed equipment from a friend still on active-duty military-grade optics and recording devices. This feels too easy, Logan said, adjusting the scope. Sometimes they are easy. But Serena's tone suggested she agreed with him. Holloway arrived exactly on time. He entered the storage facility alone. 10 minutes passed, then 20. Something's wrong, Serena murmured. Then they heard its sirens. Multiple police vehicles converging on their location. Move! Serena grabbed Terga. They ran for Logan's truck, but 3 police cars blocked the exit. Officers emerged with weapons drawn. On the ground. Now. Logan and Serena exchanged a glance. They could fight. But these were police officers, not enemy combatants. They surrendered. At the police station, they were separated. Logan was placed in an interrogation room and left alone for hours. When the door finally opened, it wasn't a detective who entered. It was Major Hargrove, accompanied by 2 military police officers. "Logan Reyes," Hargrove said formally. "You're being taken into military custody. You're charged with conspiracy to commit treason, unauthorized disclosure of classified information, and conduct unbecoming an officer." "What? That's insane." "Evidence was recovered from the storage facility, classified documents bearing your fingerprints." Hargrove's face was stone. "The same documents your brother was convicted of stealing." Logan felt the world tilt. "I've never been to that storage facility before today. Someone planted those. Save it for the court-martial." Hargrove nodded to the MPs. "Take him to the brig." As they dragged him away, Logan caught a glimpse through an open door. Serena was in another room, shouting at someone. Then she saw him. Their eyes met for 1 second. He saw the truth in her expression. They'd been set up. Someone knew they were investigating and had turned their trap against them. In her interrogation room, Serena faced Commander Wolf, her own superior. "You went off mission," Wolf said coldly. "I ordered you to investigate Reyes. Instead, you've been conducting unauthorized operations with him. He's innocent. They're framing him, just like they framed his brother. You don't have proof. What you have is compromised judgment." Wolf leaned forward. "The evidence against Reyes is substantial. His fingerprints on classified documents, testimony from Captain Holloway placing him at the storage facility multiple times over the past month. Holloway is lying. He's part of the network selling information, so you say. But you've provided no concrete evidence, no names, no transactions." Wolf stood. "You're suspended pending an internal investigation. Turn over your credentials and your weapon." Serena's hands clenched into fists. "If you do this, they win. Logan Reyes will die in prison just like his brother, and the network will keep operating. Then you should have built a case instead of playing vigilante." Wolf walked to the door. "You're done, Vale. Go home." Serena sat alone in the room for a long time after Wolf left. Through the walls, she could hear the police station buzzing with activity. Logan was already being transferred to military custody. By tomorrow, the charges would be formal. He'd be locked away where she couldn't reach him. She'd failed. Again. No, she hadn't failed yet. Serena stood. She had one move left, one card she'd never wanted to play. But Logan didn't have the luxury of time. She was going to break him out. The military detention facility at Camp Pendleton was designed to hold America's most dangerous military prisoners. Guard towers, reinforced walls, electronic surveillance covering every inch. Serena spent 18 hours planning the extraction. She called in favors from contacts in her unit, people who believed in her, even if they didn't understand what she was doing. She needed access codes, patrol schedules, and a very specific weather window. The storm rolled in at 0200 hours. Rain hammered the facility, reducing visibility. Lightning cracked across the sky, providing cover for what came next. Serena approached from the north fence, dressed in maintenance coveralls she'd stolen from a supply depot. She'd disabled the cameras in this sector, an old trick involving a loop in the recording system that would hold for exactly 12 minutes. The outer fence was easy. She cut through with industrial shears. The inner checkpoint required more finesse. She used a cloned access card to enter, then moved through service corridors that didn't appear on official blueprints. Logan was being held in Isolation Cell Block C, 3rd floor, maximum security for high-value detainees. Serena disabled the corridor cameras and picked the lock on the security door. Inside, 4 cells. Logan was in the 3rd one. He looked up when she appeared, shock crossing his face. "What are you?" "Shut up and come with me." Serena picked the cell lock in 8 seconds. Logan stepped out. "This is insane. You'll be court-martialed. Already suspended. Might as well earn it." She handed him a set of civilian clothes. "Change. Fast." "Serena, listen to me. If we run, it proves I'm guilty. If we stay, you're dead." She grabbed his arm. "I found something. Holloway's testimony about you." He used the exact same wording he used at Marcus's trial. Word for word. "Someone gave him a script. This is bigger than we thought, and they will kill you to protect it." Logan held her gaze. Then he nodded and changed clothes. They moved quickly through the facility. Serena's route took them through the mechanical spaces, boiler rooms, and maintenance tunnels that guards rarely patrolled. But as they approached the exit, alarms began blaring. "Someone found the empty cell," Serena said. Run. They burst out of the facility into the storm. Behind them, lights were coming on. Shouts echoed through the rain. Serena's motorcycle was hidden a quarter-mile away. They sprinted through mud and darkness, the storm covering their escape. But as they reached the bike, headlights appeared on the road ahead. A single vehicle, an unmarked sedan. The driver's door opened. Commander Wolf stepped out. Serena instinctively moved in front of Logan, but Wolf didn't draw a weapon. Instead, she held up a folder. "I know about Holloway's testimony pattern," Wolf called over the storm. "I know you're right, and I know I should have trusted you from the start." Serena didn't lower her guard. "What are you doing here?" "Giving you a chance." Wolf approached slowly, hands visible. "I reviewed everything after you were suspended. You were right about the network, but you can't prove it alone. You need resources. You need official backing. You suspended me. I gave you deniability." Wolf held out the folder. "This contains the real investigation I've been running parallel to yours. Names, connections, evidence that will hold up in military court. But I needed someone to draw out the network's response. You and Reyes did that." Logan stepped forward. "You used us as bait. I used you as leverage, and it worked." Holloway panicked. He contacted his handlers for instructions. "We traced the communications." Wolf opened the folder. Colonel Richard Brennan, General Sarah Westfield, 6 other senior officers. They've been selling information for 8 years. We have them. Serena took the folder, scanning the documents inside. It was all there. Financial records, communications, proof. "Marcus?" Logan asked quietly. "Innocent. Murdered on Brennan's orders." Wolf's expression was grim. "I'm sorry we couldn't save him, but we can clear his name now." Serena looked at Logan. "This is what we wanted. Then why does it feel like we lost?" Logan's voice was hollow. "Because good men died while we built the case to stop it," Wolf said. "That's the cost of fighting an enemy that hides in plain sight. But it ends now. Will you help me finish this?" Serena and Logan exchanged a glance. They'd come too far to stop. "What do you need?" Serena asked. The final operation took place at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. Colonel Brennan was hosting a logistics conference, a gathering of senior officers discussing equipment procurement. It was the perfect cover for the network to coordinate their activities. Serena and Logan, now operating with official backing, attended as part of Wolf's team. The plan was simple: confront Brennan publicly with the evidence and force him to give up the rest of the network. But Brennan had other plans. When Serena and Wolf approached him in the conference center hallway, he smiled. "Commander Wolf." And the infamous Serena Vale. "I wondered when you'd figure it out." "Colonel Brennan, you're under arrest for treason, conspiracy, and murder," Wolf said formally. Brennan's smile widened. "Am I?" "Because I have 6 officers prepared to testify that everything in your little investigation is falsified. My word against yours, Commander. And I've been serving this country for 30 years. We have financial records. Circumstantial. Good lawyers will tear them apart." Brennan glanced at Logan. "And you brought the brother. How poetic. Tell me, Reyes, did Marcus beg before he died?" "I wasn't there personally, but I heard he cried." Logan lunged. Serena and Wolf barely caught him. "That's what I thought," Brennan said. "A hothead, just like his brother. You see, Commander, this is why you'll lose. You're emotional. We're practical. We serve the country by ensuring our military has the resources it needs. If that requires bending a few rules, you murdered American soldiers." Serena cut him off. "You sold information that got people killed in the field. You framed innocent men. That's not serving your country. That's betraying it." "Perspective." Brennan shrugged. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a conference to attend." He walked away. Wolf started to follow, but Serena held up her hand. "Let him go." "What?" "We need him to contact the others. He thinks he's won. He'll get cocky." Serena pulled out her phone. "I have an asset tracking his communications. The moment he reaches out to his network, we'll have confirmation of everyone involved." Logan stared after Brennan. "He killed Marcus. And he's just walking away. For now," Serena said quietly. "But by the end of today, he'll be in handcuffs. I promise you that." 6 hours later, Brennan made his move. He called an emergency meeting with the other network members at a secure facility off base. He didn't know that every communication was being monitored, every word recorded. Serena, Logan, and a tactical team surrounded the facility. This time, they had official authorization. No more operating in shadows. When they breached the building, they found Brennan, General Westfield, and 4 other officers in a conference room, destroying documents. Federal agents. Nobody move. The arrests happened quickly. Brennan tried to run but made it less than 10 feet before Logan tackled him. For a moment, Logan's hands tightened around Brennan's throat. "Logan," Serena said quietly, "not like this." Logan looked up at her, saw the understanding in her eyes. Slowly, he released Brennan and stepped back. "Marcus deserves better than this," Logan said. "He deserves the truth." Serena helped Logan to his feet. Around them, military police were taking the conspirators into custody. 8 years of treachery ending in handcuffs. Wolf approached. "It's over. We got them all." But Serena was looking at one of the documents that hadn't been shredded yet. A list of names. Soldiers who'd been flagged as potential threats. Marcus Reyes was on that list. So were 12 others. "How many?" Serena asked. Wolf followed her gaze. Her expression fell. 7 are dead. 4 are in prison. 1 disappeared. "Jesus. We'll reopen every case. Everyone wrongly convicted will be exonerated. Everyone murdered will be investigated." Wolf put a hand on Serena's shoulder. "You did good work here. Both of you." Logan stood over Brennan, who was being cuffed by MPs. The colonel looked up at him with defiant eyes. "Your brother died for nothing," Brennan spat. "You think exposing us changes anything? There will always be people like me. People who understand that the system is just a game to be played." "Maybe," Logan replied. "But at least you won't be playing anymore." 3 months later, Logan stood at Arlington National Cemetery. A new headstone had been placed in the section reserved for fallen heroes. It read, "Captain Marcus Reyes, Distinguished Service. Died in defense of honor." The Marine Corps had issued a formal apology. Marcus's conviction had been posthumously overturned. His record was restored, but it didn't bring him back. Logan placed a hand on the cold stone. "You were right to fight them, Marcus. I'm sorry I doubted you. I'm sorry I wasn't there." A presence appeared beside him. Serena stood with her hands in her coat pockets, looking at the grave. "He'd be proud of you," she said. "I don't know about that. I nearly got us both killed. But you didn't. We finished what he started." Serena turned to him. 8 officers are facing court-martial. 14 soldiers are being exonerated. The network is broken. And all it cost was my brother's life. Serena had no answer for that. Some prices were too high, no matter how important the victory. They stood in silence for a long time. Finally, Logan stepped back from the grave. "What happens now?" he asked. "For me? I'm transferring to training operations, teaching new special forces recruits." Serena smiled slightly. "Figured it's time to step back from field operations. I'm getting too old to keep jumping through windows." "You're 28. In operator years, that's ancient." She studied him. "What about you?" "Returning to Force Recon," they offered. "Full reinstatement, back pay, commendations." Logan shook his head. "I turned it down. I'm leaving the Marines." "Really?" "I spent my whole career following orders, trusting the system. Then I learned the system murdered my brother and tried to do the same to me." Logan looked at the endless rows of graves. "I need to figure out who I am outside of the uniform." "That's fair." They walked together toward the parking lot. The sky was gray, threatening rain. "I never thanked you properly," Logan said, "for believing me, for risking your career to help me. You saved my life in that warehouse. We're even." "I don't think we are." Logan stopped walking. "You gave me the truth about Marcus. That's worth more than my life." Serena met his eyes. "Your brother was a good man fighting for the right thing. Just like you. That's why I couldn't let them destroy you too. You're a good person, Serena Vale." "I'm really not. I've done things that would horrify you." She started walking again. "But maybe I'm trying to be better." Logan caught up to her. "You know, I realize we've been through life and death situations together, but I don't actually know anything normal about you, like what you do for fun." "Fun?" Serena looked at him like he'd spoken a foreign language. "I train. I read mission reports. I clean my weapons." "That's sad." "It's practical. It's sad," Logan repeated. "When's the last time you did something just because you wanted to? Not for a mission, not for training, just because." Serena thought about it. "Before my father died, probably." Logan pulled out his phone. "There's a decent restaurant near here. It's early for dinner, but they make good coffee. No missions, no classified information. Just 2 people who survived something terrible and could probably use a normal conversation." "Logan, I know you don't do personal connections. I know this goes against your training. But we're not operatives anymore. We're just two people who understand what the other has been through. He looked at her hopefully. 1 cup of coffee, that's all I'm asking. Serena hesitated. Every instinct told her to decline, to maintain distance, to protect herself. But she was tired of following her instincts. 1 cup, she said. But if you try to pay, I'm leaving. Logan grinned. Deal. The restaurant was quiet on a Tuesday afternoon. They sat by the window, watching people pass on the street. Normal people with normal problems. It felt surreal after everything they'd been through. So, Logan said, tell me something real about yourself. Not your service record. Something that matters to you. Serena stared into her coffee. I like old movies, film noir. The ones where everyone is morally gray and the endings aren't always happy. That tracks. What about you? I wanted to be a teacher once, before I joined the Marines. Logan smiled at her surprised expression. History. I love learning about how things used to be, how people faced impossible situations and found ways to survive. Why didn't you become a teacher? Because Marcus joined the Marines, and I wanted to be like him. He was my hero. Logan's smile faded. Then he was gone, and I'd already spent 12 years in uniform, didn't know how to be anything else. You could still teach. Maybe. I'm thinking about going back to school, getting my degree finished, figure out what a normal life looks like. He looked at her. You should do the same. I have a degree. Criminal justice. I meant the normal life part. Serena laughed, actually laughed. It was a short sound, rusty from disuse. I don't think I know how to be normal anymore. Neither do I. But we could figure it out together. The offer hung between them. Serena wanted to deflect, to make a joke, to push him away. But Logan's expression was open and honest. He wasn't offering romance or complications, just partnership of a different kind. I'm not good at relationships, Serena said carefully. I push people away. I keep secrets. I have nightmares about operations that went wrong. I wake up in cold sweats thinking about Marcus. I can't watch military movies anymore because they make me angry. And I don't trust easily. Logan reached across the table, not quite touching her hand. We're both damaged. But maybe damaged people understand each other better. Serena looked at his hand on the table, close but respecting her space. This is a terrible idea. Probably. We barely know each other outside of combat situations. True. And I'm leaving for Virginia next month. The training facility is on the other side of the country. Virginia has phones and airports. Logan finally smiled. I'm not asking you to marry me, Serena. I'm just saying I'd like to know you better. As a friend, if nothing else, Serena considered. She'd spent so many years alone, isolated, convinced that closeness was weakness. But Logan had proven himself in ways that mattered. He'd faced impossible odds and hadn't broken. He'd lost everything and still chose to help others rather than drown in bitterness. Okay, she said quietly. Let's be friends who understand each other's trauma. Best pitch I've heard all day. Logan raised his coffee cup. To surviving hell and trying to build something better on the other side. Serena clinked her cup against his. To figuring out what normal looks like. They talked for 2 hours. About movies and books and places they wanted to visit. About fears and hopes and all the small details that make a person real. For the first time in years, Serena felt like she was having a conversation rather than conducting an interrogation. When they finally left the restaurant, the sun was setting. Logan walked her to her car, a simple courtesy that somehow felt important. I meant what I said about staying in touch, Logan said. I know. I will. Serena unlocked her car, then paused. Thank you for not giving up on me. On this whole thing. A lot of people would have run. A lot of people didn't have a brother to avenge. Logan's expression was serious. You gave me justice for Marcus. That's not something I'll forget. We gave each other justice. I couldn't have done it alone. They stood there awkwardly, two people trained in combat but hopeless at normal social interactions. Finally, Serena made a decision. She stepped forward and hugged him quick and tight. Logan returned the embrace. For just a moment, they were two survivors holding onto each other against the darkness. Then Serena stepped back, professional again. I'll call you when I get to Virginia. I'll answer. She got in her car and drove away. In the rearview mirror, she saw Logan standing in the parking lot, watching her go. 6 months passed. Serena settled into her new role training the next generation of Special Forces operators. It was different from fieldwork, less adrenaline, more patience, but she found she enjoyed teaching, enjoyed giving young soldiers the tools they'd need to survive. Logan completed his bachelor's degree and started a master's program in education. He also volunteered at a veterans center, helping other former soldiers adjust to civilian life. They talked regularly, video calls every Sunday, random texts during the week, shared articles and book recommendations. It was normal in a way neither of them had experienced before. One weekend in early spring, Logan flew to Virginia. Serena picked him up at the airport, and they drove to the coast. "I've never just gone to the beach for fun," Serena admitted as they walked along the sand. She was wearing civilian clothes, jeans, and a sweater that Logan had never seen her in before. She looked younger, lighter. "Well, today you're going to learn." Logan kicked off his shoes. "Come on, water's probably freezing, but that's part of the experience." They waded into the surf. It was freezing. They laughed and splashed like kids, all the weight of their shared history momentarily forgotten. Later, sitting on the sand watching the sunset, Logan asked, "Are you happy?" Serena considered the question seriously. "I think I'm getting there. Some days are harder than others. But yeah, I think I'm figuring it out." "Good. What about you?" "Same. Teaching is harder than I expected, but I like it. I like helping people learn." Logan picked up a shell, examined it, "And I like having someone to talk to who understands what I've been through." "Me too." They sat in comfortable silence. The sun painted the sky in shades of orange and purple. Seagulls called overhead. "I was thinking," Logan said carefully, "when you come back to California for the quarterly training conference next month, maybe we could do this again. Not the beach necessarily, but just spend time together." "I'd like that." "Really?" "Really." Serena looked at him. "I was also thinking that maybe we should stop calling this friendship." Logan's heart skipped. "What would you call it?" "I don't know yet. Something more. Something that scares me less than it used to." She reached over and took his hand. "I'm not good at this. I'll probably mess it up." "I'm not good at it either. We'll mess it up together." Serena laughed, that real laugh that Logan had heard so rarely. "That's probably the most honest relationship pitch anyone's ever given me." "I try." Logan squeezed her hand. No pressure, no expectations. Just two people who survived hell learning to live again. Deal. They stayed on the beach until dark, talking about everything and nothing. Making plans. Building something new from the ruins of their shared trauma. When they finally left, Serena didn't let go of Logan's hand. It was a small gesture, one that most people wouldn't even notice. But for someone trained to never show vulnerability, it was everything. They drove back to her apartment. Logan stayed on her couch that night, both of them too comfortable talking to let the evening end. Around midnight, as they finally started to drift off to sleep, Logan spoke into the darkness. "Hey, Serena? Yeah? I'm glad you took down that drunk Marine in the bar." She smiled in the darkness. "Me too. Even though it nearly got both of us killed, especially because of that." She closed her eyes. "Good night, Logan." "Good night." They fell asleep in Serena's living room, two warriors finally finding peace. The road ahead wouldn't be easy. They both carried scars that would never fully heal, but they'd face down traitors and conspiracies and their own demon. Learning to trust each other would be